I'm going to go into business partner guidelines. So what makes a good business partner? A small business, nonprofit organization, great choice. My preference is a nonprofit because they can always use the help. Businesses are out there making money, but either one, I'm open for it. They do not have to have a web presence now or even want to change their website. They might have an established website and you say, can I just use your materials and redesign a new site? You won't be changing their existing site at all. That will stay out there on the web. You'll be working on a temporary space, holding place, we call it T-server. So they can keep their current website. You just want their information so you can design a new site. Now, hopefully, you'll do a great job and they'll want to take your site and replace their old one. That's what we hope most often. If you know somebody that has a product or a service they want to communicate to others, that's a really good candidate. Anybody selling cosmetics, candles, any organization that wants to get something done with web pages, even though they might not be ready to go on the web. When you talk to this business partner, you want to get across that they're responsible for content. So they have to get the text, the photos, the logos, all the graphics. Now, they might talk you into doing that, but most of the students are focusing on web designing, not developing content. This is just a three to 5 page site. It's not going to have Flash, and it's not going to handle credit card transactions. So it's not going to be an e-commerce site. E-commerce sites go anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 on up. So if somebody wants an e-commerce site, you know, they want something for free that normally they would pay quite a bit of money for. You can emphasize that you're going to just be working on a temporary web server and it won't affect their current website. That's really, really important. And they only have to switch over to your site if they choose to. The business partner is going to have a domain name and a web server. I use Bluehost. There's hundreds and hundreds of web servers out there, and part of one of your future assignments is comparing different web hosting services. But the domain name is really important. Now, you won't be doing that because that costs money, and that's up to the business. When they do get a domain name, though, that's like a business asset, and it can be worth thousands of dollars. A domain name anybody know how much a domain name runs generally? $14 a year. So domain is really, really cheap. But if somebody else owns it and wants to sell it to you, the price goes up. So I've heard of people paying $1,500 for a domain name. And on up, much, much higher, depending upon how much in demand that name is. It's getting really hard to find good domain names. The website project is only going to last for a semester, so the business partner is going to need somebody to maintain the site after you're done with it. Hopefully, if you do it right, that will be you. I also encourage students that if there's like one business partner that wants to have several students work on their site and get like 3 or 4 different designs, I'm really encouraging that. That brings a little competition into it, and it gives the business partner a choice at the end of the semester. But you can't work together on a site. It has to be your own work. This is a really, really great piece, especially if you're going into web programming, for your portfolio. If you do a really bang-up job on your Capstone project for this class, you can put a link to that out on your eFolio and show it to anybody when you apply for jobs, or if you talk to other clients. The more good websites you have, the more you can charge. And then I have a tutorial out here that's useful for a lot of businesses. Now, I presented this at the entrepreneurial conference a few years ago, and this just talks about how the web works. You'll recognize some of this from earlier classes. And then I talk about how to get a domain name, how to get a hosting service, building websites, return on investment. You know, if I pay this much, what will I get back from it? And then I give tips on how to get that search engine optimization up. So feel free to use this if you have questions on domain names or your business partner does. And then I have a list of questions that you can ask your business partner. So first of all, you want to know their contact information. And we talked about that in the SEO questions. You want a really good site description that's going to go in the meta tags. As a designer, you need to know why they want to do this site. What are they trying to do? Most often, it's to establish a web presence, but there's lots of different reasons you could be doing web pages. And then you're going to ask, what information are you going to have on the site? So what are the main topics? What's the text for the topics? Do you have photos? Do you have right for the copyrighted materials? And then you'll also be building a form so the clients can contact your business partner, you know, with questions and informations. Ask them about color schemes, what kind of theme they like. Now, in the past, I used to say, well, show me the websites that you like. And what a client will invariably do is they'll go out to their competition. So they're just thinking about their competition when there's a whole gamut of different websites they could look at that could be really cool for their industry, but all they're thinking about is their competition. So they go to their competition and they want you to design a site just like that. Try to get them to look beyond that. And you might just go out and find some nice sites for them to look at. Another thing to ask them is, do you have a domain name? Again, notice if I had capitalized the C on Coca-Cola, how much easier that would be to read. Ask them if they have hosting. And this is the key question, who's gonna keep this thing up after the semester's over? Just to wrap up, I had a few tips and tricks here. Make sure you know who your contact person and how he or she communicates. Now, if some people like to talk on the phone, older folks like to talk on the phone. Younger folks are comfortable with email. Older folks like meetings. Younger folks like Skype. So you got to find out how your contact person communicates, and then you have to communicate in that mode. So if you're dealing with an older person that's more comfortable on the telephone, they're virtually going to ignore your emails. Believe me, I've seen it happen over and over. Write a brief letter outlining the business. Now this can be an email too, and in fact you do this as part of your project. And communicate often and frequently. So as soon as you get stuff up on the T server, which will be in a week or two, then you can send your business partner an email, say, here's the site, here's the link to the site, tell me what you think. A great tip for every time you send emails is if you include the http:// in the URL, then your most email programs will automatically make that into a hyperlink. So that way people don't have to cut and paste from the email, they just click on it. So if you want people to go out to certain links, make sure you include this. And what I do is I just go up here on the URL, I click once, and I copy it, and that gets me everything I need. And then I would paste this in the email. So I go out to the site, click once, copy, paste in the email. And then I have a hyperlink. And finally, you have 3 customers to satisfy. Who's number 1 until May? That's me, all right? I'm the instructor. This is a Capstone project. You have to meet my specs first. And what I used to hear in the past was, well, my client doesn't want an image map. I says, well, I'm your client. I want an image map. After May, you can take the image map off. I don't care. Then the second client you have, the second customer, is your business partner. And then the third client is your business partner's customer or the user. And in the long run, the user is the most important person. If you don't make the website that meets the client's needs and the customer's needs, then nobody's going to visit it, and they surely won't come back.